Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Hi, Kemma. Thank you so much for joining me and for joining the students of William Jessup University. And we were just talking, and I just wanted to know, we were talking about what population you serve the most. And can you talk about that a little bit, and when you got your training and what you're finding to be really productive about working with the populations that you serve versus just doing talk therapy?
Okay. So actually, I think I was starting to experience a little bit of repetitiousness, maybe a little bit of burnout. I was like, I need to, I want to do something new. I
Mhm.
love sitting in the chair. This is what I was born to do.
Yeah,
But very quickly, I realized mental health is all trauma on, different levels.
right.
Um, so I, I, the company that I work for, we contract with two different Tohono O'odham Nation businesses. One is a federal contract, one is just a contract with them. Um, I had been working with this population about a year or so prior to going for training for EMDR. So I had already kind of built a good rapport with the majority of my caseload.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and
working for a organization, do you have a requirement of a caseload that you need to keep?
No,
Okay, that's excellent.
yes, it is. I'm the clinical coordinator of my site as well. So I kind of have a lot of balls up in the air. I
Right.
work very closely with the veteran population in our town. I'm part of the treatment team.
We're gonna ignore the dog.
It's okay.
When I get my podcast going, we'll have a real interview where a dog will not be present.
No worries.
Getting a tissue because he's overwhelmed. I don't know. Okay.
I have dogs and children, so we're all good.
Yeah. Well, I had 4 children and now they're adults. And why did I have a dog? Why did I do this? I'm still like, I didn't realize that you could see her going into the waistband. Okay. Anyway, let's go back. I'll block the view.
Alrighty.
Try to block the view. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I'm part of the treatment team for our regional municipalities veterans treatment veterans court.
Right.
So we work with
Ooh.
court-ordered individuals. So I get a lot of referrals for aftercare that way. I do treat some of our veterans individually. If they have high anxiety, they don't feel like they can go into group. The our VA down here does not provide EMDR therapy, so I do get a lot of referrals that way as well for EMDR therapy.
Does that take a special is plastic good for the dog, or should I take away the plastic? Hang on. I'm gonna hit pause. I'm gonna put
okay.
Hang on. Okay, let's go back to this. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
So so you were saying that you work with the veterans who are connected with court, and sometimes you provide EMDR for them individually because VA doesn't cover EMDR for veterans. That feels really, I feel very sad about that, because I know in my experience of using EMDR with veterans and first responders, it's just so powerful of giving them their life back, So what's your experience? How long have you been doing EMDR? So you're the director.
I've been doing EMDR for almost going on, I believe, 4 years now.
Okay. And what's the difference? We'll just ignore the distraction. What's the difference that you found when you started using EMDR with your clients versus talk therapy?
I found a lot more movement. The best way I can describe it is I can get in 10 sessions in an hour and a half EMDR session versus 1 hour of talk therapy.
Right, right. So it
yes,
really progresses them right along. Yeah.
yes, yes. And so usually the referrals I will get for EMDR will be, I've had this client, they've been in therapy for 10 plus years, you know, they're feeling stuck, they're at a plateau. And I can literally almost see ages taken off of people's faces once they start.
That's really interesting. I heard that from someone else that I interviewed. They were actually describing how the body just changed from the time that they came in to the time that they were done with treatment.
Yes. I definitely have that experience as well.
Hang on.
Okay.
Oh, jeez. What? I have a really busy life. I don't know why I got the dog, but so my students will see the dog in my office and everything, and I'll go, wow, she really does not have her stuff together. I wish I had somebody that my assistant is actually my daughter, and she's taking the day off.
Oh.
She would normally take the dog, but anyway. So back to, like, what's one of your favorite clients that you've worked with where you saw the change in them and you were really surprised and maybe overwhelmed by the change, the physical change, and then the relationship change that they had?
So probably she's the only client that I've ever seen that actually I was like, from one session to the next, I was like, she looks about 7 years younger.
Wow.
Yeah, she just, I felt like her body, her face, everything was just so tight from tension. And after, I want to say 2 active sessions with the light bar, even her hair, she used to wear her hair up very tight all the time. Now her hair is free flowing. She doesn't ever wear her glasses. She wears her contacts now. So it's almost like all of the guards that she had up, she feels safe enough now to be her authentic self.
Oh, that's beautiful. What population is this? Is this from the Native American population or the veterans? Or?
Actually, I also get referrals from other therapists in the community.
Right.
And she actually lives about 45 minutes away from Tucson. So
hang on just a second. I'm gonna have to take her out.
Okay.
Okay, so this was a person that was off of a referral, a different referral. And what was the issue when they came in?
Her issue is that she's been in therapy for 10 years and she felt stuck. The clinician who referred her to me, she said, I think I've taken her as far as I can go. On the surface, she's really got to, it's up to her now, but she's interested in delving into her trauma. And so it was a little bit of.
Do you mind saying what the trauma was? Or
yeah, no, I don't mind. She grew up in an abusive home. Dad was an alcoholic, domestic violence.
Right.
So there was that. She was significantly younger than her siblings. So she kind of got a different life than her older siblings.
Right.
Her sister and her sister's husband were killed in a car accident by a drunk driver.
Oh.
So her mom ended up taking in her niece and nephew, who are essentially her brother and sister. Just a lot of.
lot of
chaos.
trauma, a lot of loss, a lot of,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
a lot of, so she moved from one birth order to a different birth order, perhaps?
Right. And ended up marrying her dad 3 different times.
Or her mom ended up marrying her dad 3 different times?
No, well, she ended up marrying her dad 3 different, she's in her 3rd marriage now, and
Oh, I see.
essentially, yes, the alcoholism, the domestic violence.
Oh, yeah.
So it's gotten better over the 3 husbands, but
Right.
this one is, you know, the less abusive, the more acceptable the behaviors become.
Right. Right.
So
So it really, your process of doing the EMDR, the 10 years of therapy helped with having that unconditional personal regard, you know, and empathy. But the EMDR really targeted that the grad school students are learning about the ACEs and how about how the ACEs score can set them up for physical ailments as well as psychological ailments. So what you're saying is through the EMDR, you got right into that attachment part of their brain, of her brain, and really helped change her life, maybe. What were the changes then that you saw in her relationships?
She definitely has become her own best advocate for herself when it comes to her siblings, when it comes to her husband, when it comes to her children. Basically, everybody just used to walk over her, and you know, that people pleasing, no boundaries. So she definitely has, and she's come to find out that all she has to do is set those boundaries and say no, and they're all still there. Nobody has left her.
Right.
Yeah. So she actually just went through a traumatic experience, and she said, Kama, I don't think I could have gone through this experience had I not gone through EMDR and worked out a lot of the stuff that I have worked out.
That was already on board. It might have just, you know, thrown her into a tilt-a-whirl. So it's really amazing that so sounds like she was self-sabotaging herself, which makes sense, because when you witness domestic violence, then you think, oh, I have to be quiet, I have to be small. As a child, you will just automatically think, I have to be quiet, I have to be small, I can't use my voice. And that when I was a child, and then when I became an adult, it's so difficult if we don't have a healing from the inside out.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, as we were talking, my mind just went back to, I actually had my very first client that I had when I did my internship.
Right.
So I treated her for a year. She came to me with a bipolar diagnosis already. So the first year that I worked with her in my internship, my supervisor, you know, kind of advised me, well, maybe something you need to work with her on is the fact that she might have to be on medication for the rest of her life. So that's what we worked on for my first year of internship. I ended up volunteering at that clinic that I did my internship for 3 more years, and she stayed on as a client. And then when I got licensed and I came here, she followed me here. And by the time, this is in the span of about 7 years.
Right.
By the time she came back to me here for EMDR, she was then diagnosed with fibromyalgia. So she was on a slew of medications.
Right.
We did 7 sessions of EMDR therapy and 7 sessions of a session afterwards. So 14 sessions total. And she was able to get off of all of her medications. And she had no pain whatsoever in her body at all.
Yeah, that's the thing that I keep finding with my clients is, and actually so much of the research shows that people who have been diagnosed as PTSD are actually, or bipolar, actually have PTSD or PTSI, and
Right.
can get off of their medicine, with the proper treatment, under
Right.
supervision, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was, like I said, it was a course of about 7 years that, I treated her off and on, but
Mhm.
our last time together was doing EMDR. And I think it's been about a year since I've heard from her, seen her, talked to her. I just checked in with her and I'm waiting to hear back from her, but that's the first time in years that she has not reached out to me for something.
Right. That's just excellent. That's just so excellent. What is something that you would tell a new therapist about either getting EMDR or not getting EMDR training? What's something that you would tell that new therapist?
I feel like if you do get EMDR therapy training,
Mhm,
it just enhances not only your skills and abilities as a clinician, but
mhm.
it also does something for you in your personal life because you start noticing other things in your personal life. You start picking up on other senses in your personal life. So it's kind of a twofold process.
Do you want to
It's like
say a little bit about that? About,
um,
yeah.
sure, sure. It's just little things like I will notice, twitches in people's eyeballs or the corners of their eyes or their lips, and I would never have noticed that before. But these are things that we're trained to look for.
Right.
Any little movement. So now, I mean, I can spot stuff when people are trying not to, when they're trying to hold themselves back, when they're when
Mhm.
it enhances your skills and abilities personally as well.
Okay.
It just gives you a different lens to view.
Okay. So more, and then that increases your intuitiveness. I'm imagining also.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I believe that's why I went down the path of trauma because I'm a very intuitive person. I can I can read people's energies. Um, and of course, now moving to telehealth, it was a whole different because I do EMDR on
Right.
telehealth.
Right.
So it
What
was a
has
whole new.
what
Go
has
ahead.
that experience been like for you?
It's been very different. One thing that I did notice is I thought my clients were open with me when we would see each other in person, but now
Uh-huh.
that we kind of have this little buffer between us, I feel like they're more open with me. So that's
Oh,
been
interesting.
interesting. Yes,
So it's perhaps a little less threatening for them.
yes,
Yeah.
because I mean they can be in their pajamas, they can be in their
Right.
bed when they've had a rough day or when
Mhm.
when they need to let it out and they're on their pillow crying or
Oh,
it's it's doing trauma therapy is very intense,
right.
but it is the I love it. People think I'm crazy because I love it. It is my passion though because I can see the benefit that it gives to people. I
Yeah.
can see the feeling.
I couldn't imagine not doing trauma therapy. I mean,
Right.
so I understand what you're saying there in
Yeah.
that.
I
Um,
started out in marriage and family. That's where
right.
I started out, and now I'm like, oh, I just love trauma. It's because again, that's what I believe mental health is on different levels. It's all trauma.
I think so too. Even when someone has an addiction and it might, well, so the population that you're serving, there are a lot of addictions, right? Statistically.
Yes.
So what
Mhm.
have you found out in using EMDR with that population and what happens with their addictions?
So I currently have a client. I have not started active EMDR therapy with him yet because he's 2 years sober. He used to
Okay.
be a meth addict and an alcoholic.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so one thing I have noticed with him specifically is it takes him longer to process things. So when we were seeing each other weekly, he was kind of struggling with, well, I kind of don't know what to say. And so I said, well, let's try something. Let's go bi-weekly and see how that works. And he comes to session bi-weekly now, and he's got his camera notes in his phone that, because now he's processing. It just takes him a little bit longer.
Oh,
Which,
yeah.
again, that's fine.
Mhm.
So that is one thing I have noticed. It does take a longer to process.
Well, especially because their brain might be, they might have actually, it may have been there all along, but they could
Right,
have a processing disorder because of the meth and the amount of alcohol that they were abusing.
right. And I believe he was an addict for about 20 years.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So he did probably some permanent damage to his brain.
Right.
So that's good. So you pace it according to his ability to actually process.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any warning things that you would want the grad school students to know about using the EMDR?
So before I went to my training, I actually did an EMDR session because I just wanted to know what I was going to be taking my clients through.
Right.
I just didn't feel like I would be able to really be able to tell them what was going to happen to them or what they were going to experience or go through if I didn't do it myself.
Right.
So I would definitely encourage, if you do decide to do the training, to at least do one session. And it was just another EMDR clinician, within the company. She said, hey, this is just my advice. And it was wonderful advice.
Mhm.
So I knew what they were going to expect. I knew how intense it was going to be. I knew how, how hard they would try, or how tired they would feel, or how hungry they would be. So I know what to tell, my clients what to expect.
That's a really good point, because I usually tell my clients, get rest, plan on not doing anything afterwards, and have a lot of good protein in your system before you come and we do the EMDR process, because it is exhausting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. So you know that from the inside out because you've experienced it.
Right.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Anything else that you want to say about working with veterans, or what's the youngest person that you've used EMDR with?
The youngest person she is a 20-year-old refugee student at the engineer student at the University of Arizona.
Okay.
So she has a lot of trauma.
A lot of trauma.
Yes.
As a refugee, and that's excellent, because with EMDR, you don't have to have the language or the cultural knowledge that you would have to do in traditional talk therapy.
Right. Exactly. And her being so open to it, I mean, she's like, oh, my sister needs to have it, and my brother needs to have it, and
you get EMDR, and you get EMDR, and you get EMDR. Yeah, that's good.
I mean, she's one of 13, so
wow. Yeah, that's
she's not the youngest.
Is it like in the middle, or I mean, I think boy, everybody's going to experience something there in a family of 13. That's going to be.
And the majority of them all still live together, because you have to be married to be able to move out of the home. So.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What ethnicity is that?
She's Muslim, and she's from Africa somewhere.
Okay.
I don't know exactly where.
So that's part of the Muslim culture.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not when you're 18, get out.
Nope.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not for, I believe, not for the women, but I want to say for all of them. I think they have to be married before they can leave the home.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I might like that, but I might not like that as a mom. I don't know. If they're all doing chores, I might like that. And contributing to
Right.
the household, that might be nice.
Right.
Yeah, but it'd still be, I wouldn't have a dog, or I would have a dog sitter.
Right.
I don't know, could go both ways. So
Yeah.
is there anything else that you want to tell the grad school students in just enjoying this process of EMDR, or have you done somatic therapy or any other types of modalities that?
I have not, but I'm actually pending right now for my independent licensure. And my next phase is I want to get into equine assisted EMDR therapy.
Yes, I think that would be amazing. Yeah.
Yes. I have a whole center up here in my brain for an EMDR center, because there's a lot of things. There's so many different ways that, you know, we can create bilateral stimulation.
Right, integrate it. Yeah. A nice hike.
Right.
Is really good.
Yes. A hike, even like for some children doing race cars in a figure 8,
Right.
swinging back and forth, side to side. I mean, there's so many
Right.
things
To
that we
stimulate.
don't realize.
Yeah, I take my clients actually on a hike when parents will say, well, this teenager will never talk, and I will take them on a hike, and then they'll just automatically start opening up to me, and and I don't explain. I'm going to activate your bilateral stimulus. I'm going to activate your memory. I'm going to activate. I'm just like, oh, let's go for a walk. We'll see if they'll talk.
Yes. So I encourage, a lot of my clients tell me, oh, when I was taking that 2-hour drive, well, what do you do when you're driving?
Right. Well, hopefully you're scanning the horizon,
right,
and not fixating. Yeah.
Right.
Some people aren't taught to scan the horizon.
Right. And I also encourage journaling in between sessions.
Yes.
Bilateral stimulation again. Yeah. And it helps them to continue processing as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, definitely there's a need for trauma therapists.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Have you seen the need increase? I mean, most of us have seen the need increase during the last 2 years. Have you in Arizona experienced that also?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially with our Native American population. We just had a video chat this morning with one of the leads at the Tohono O'odham Nation, and she said, I realize we've been sending you guys so much, but you know, this is what's happening out here, so we're sending them, you know, to you guys. And that it's, I mean, we have an uptake in domestic violence because we have contracts with the courts here, an uptake in domestic violence, substance abuse, DUI. So everything is just high off the charts.
Is that because of the COVID, the isolation, or why do you think that is?
I believe so.
The isolation.
And also, I also feel like the isolation is bringing up stuff for other people. I have another client who's she was raised in the Jehovah Witness religion. So she's been out of it for several years, but with isolation, you know, quarantine last year, it started bringing up all of this stuff for her. So that's what I saw a lot with the quarantine. I saw a lot of that type of trauma coming up for people: abandonment, attachment, you know, apocalypse,
authoritarian issues, trust issues, all of that. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that's a good point.
And just to take extra good care of yourself, because this is it's an intense therapy that is very different from talk therapy. So protecting yourself, taking care of yourself, self-care is extremely important.
Yeah, maybe not get a puppy in the middle of a pandemic. she's mad at me because yesterday she had to stay home. I did a 3.5 hour critical incident debriefing for California Highway Patrol. And so I think she's mad at me. She's punished me. Well, I sure do enjoy talking with you. And I think it's exciting that you are using this in different cultures. That's very exciting. And
Yes.
probably eases, I know for me as an EMDR therapist, I love it that I don't have to know exactly what they're thinking. I don't have to have the words because the brain will automatically do the healing that the brain needs to do. And so
Right.
that's exciting that you're using that in all those different cultures.
Yes.
Is anything else that you would want to pass on to the grad school students?
Do it.
Good, good. I think that's a good word. I'm going to close on that. And if they
Okay.
want to find out about you or find out about your services, how would they find out about you?
As far as like contacting me,
Well, they might contact you for a consultation. They might be working with a population that you're working with, and they, you know.
yeah. I mean, I can send you my information, or I
Okay.
can say it on here.
Yeah, you
However,
can say it. Do you have a website, or is there a way that they
well, to contact me directly, my email address is kgarcia@thecentertucson.com.
Okay, great.
And that would probably be the easiest way to contact me.
Yeah, so they, they might have be working with the populations that you serve, and they might just want to pay for a consultation. Yes. Or you guys
Yes.
can work
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah, that would be
Okay.
totally fine.
Okay. Kema, I'm gonna hit pause and then
Okay.